Louisville, Kentucky, where thoroughbreds run for the roses. Well, today, monster trucks rumble through the wreckage on a figure-8 track. Next. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the all-stars of TNT's Monster Truck Challenge. Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power on the Nashville Network. Today we come to you from Louisville, Kentucky. Hi everybody, I'm Gary Lee alongside Rich Hooser, and this part of the country is famous for the Louisville Slugger. And I suppose you could say today we've got a Louisville Slugfest?
Yeah, you could say that. What we have here is a figure-8 course. It's a half-mile long, and there's about 40 junk cars smack dab in the middle of it. Now, these trucks are going to be taking a lot of abuse today, and we ought to see some good action.
Yeah, there's a big Ford truck plant down here, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Ford fans cheering for Bigfoot back here.
Right. Well, Bigfoot has a lot of fans wherever it goes, but yeah, here today we're going to see a lot of Ford fans.
We'll be joined momentarily by Army Armstrong. We'll take this break first and come back to Louisville, Kentucky. At Churchill Downs, they trumpet the call to the post, but across town at the Louisville Motor Speedway, they simply say, "Gentlemen, start your engines." A unique course, a figure-8 track with some 40 junk cars in the middle. In first-round competition, the Carolina Crusher will face Micro Machine. The Equalizer will go against Gravedigger, No Problem, and Star Monster, and the Jersey Outlaw will take on the Thunder Chicken. Now, the fast qualifier is Andy Brass in Bigfoot, so he will have a bye run. He advances to the second round, and King Crunch has defeated Clydesdale. He, too, has advanced. So now, first-round action continues with Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher and Kurt Fisher in Micro Machine.
They're both set up and ready to go, Gary. It's going to be a close race down here. It's looking pretty good.
Once again, the inside lane is the shortest way around. Gary Porter has the inside lane on the first half of the circuit, but the Micro Machine will have the short way around the second half.
Right, and the Micro Machine is starting to catch up to Porter right now. He hit a pretty good jump, a little bit slow. Porter's getting a look at him, standing up on end for about 25 yards.
I have never seen a longer wheel stand by a monster truck. He had to climb on the brakes, almost went over the wall, actually made light contact with the wall. He is okay. He'll check the machinery as Kurt Fisher drives on to victory here in the first round.
Gary did a great job of driving there. He's out of the truck. He seems to be okay. He's checking out the machinery. Watching the replay, and you'll see what happens. When the front end hits there, it comes back up, and he stays in the throttle, but he did a great job of bringing it under control.
At this point, he knows the wall is coming up, so he climbs on the binders, gets it stopped. Let's go down to Army Armstrong.
Gary Porter, first of all, are you okay?
I'm fine.
I've never seen you do that. That had to be an eerie feeling.
That was one of the wildest rides I've ever took in the truck. You know, I'm fine, the truck's fine. You know, I was wanting to stay in it as long as I could, and when the front end was up so high, I couldn't see exactly where I was going, and I knew I had to be getting close to the wall, so I let out of it and hit the brakes to bring it down, and I was right on the wall, and I couldn't stay out of it.
The crowd now anticipating the arrival. There he is, the Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson. He goes up against Greg Holbrook in Equalizer, a pair of Chevrolets, one new body style, one very old body style.
And Gary, I'm sorry to say, but I was talking to Dennis a little earlier, and he thought he might be having some problems with his truck. And as you can see right here at the starting line, he does. I believe it's in his transfer case. He didn't seem to have power to his rear wheels. But here, Equalizer is going to have a win as long as he can keep the truck under control, and he has to make a legal pass. He knows Anderson's got problems, so he's just going to take it nice and easy, and Dennis is going to go ahead and make the round so he can finish, and he will collect money and points because of finishing the round.
These two trucks approach the cars at the same time, but Dennis Anderson backs out and lets Greg Holbrook go on through to complete his run. And now as the youngsters look at their Gravedigger watches to time Dennis Anderson, they don't look too pleased with this slow run right now. But the Gravedigger will complete the run. Look at the air under that 1950 panel, and he almost goes over the front.
And one thing about Dennis Anderson, he always puts on a good show. Now watch here on the replay of Equalizer's final run. Look at the left front tire actually coming off the ground. And that shows you what kind of speed these guys are going coming around these turns. And he wasn't actually getting on it as much because he knows he has a win against Dennis Anderson.
The Equalizer advances, but the Gravedigger completes his run. Look at the air and watch this nose stand as he comes down. Always a crowd pleaser, Dennis Anderson. A good crowd on hand here in Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, it is noisy here for the Renegades TNT Monster Truck Challenge. And coming right at you, the Star Monster. This is Chris Tuffley out of Syracuse, New York, earlier in qualifying. Watch this nosedive.
Gary, right there when his back tires hit that last car and his front tires came down the ramp, that's what caused his rear end to come up like that. But he's a good driver, and he's able to keep it under control.
The rule of thumb there, keep your foot in the throttle. He does. He brings it down. Now he's on the brakes. And now he's lining up for first round action, and he takes on no problem. No problem with John Moore, the Bronco, a Ford against the Chevy.
Now, as you mentioned earlier, Gary, the inside lane is the short lane on the first half of the track, but when they come around to the other half, no problem's going to head to short side. So from the look at this right now, no problem's actually ahead of him. And, of course, he's going to hit that car before Star Monster. If John can keep it under control, this could be good.
Well, right now, John has the inside, and the second half of this circuit should be all no problem. John Moore now increases his lead. The last time he sets up to go over these 40 junk cars. A nice, well, not quite so smooth, a little bounce right there, but he takes the victory, and Star Monster pulls off.
Yeah, Star Monster's having problems, but no problem also had one. Watch here on the replay. When right there, you seen it, when he got off the line, he broke the rear drive shaft in the truck. Look right there, you can see it hanging down. He's running on front-wheel drive and still beats him.
Well, that was an impressive drive considering he was only using two-wheel drive. And now we take a look at Mike Wine, the Jersey Outlaw, and there is Thunder Chicken, Kid Rarig. The Ford against the Chevrolet.
Both have a real good start. The Outlaw gets a little bit ahead, but remember, he's on the inside on this end of the track. It could be a different story when they get around the other end.
He takes a look at these junk cars the first time over. Rather smoothly, bounces a bit coming over, but look at the bounce of Kid Rarig. And right now, the Outlaw certainly has the advantage, despite the fact he is on the outside. Here comes the Kid.
Kid Rarig starting to catch up to him a little bit. It's going to be real close here at the final, Gary. They're both putting the hammer down, and it's Outlaw takes the win.
Well, the Outlaw really won that one because of the advantage he had built up in the first half of the run. Kid Rarig closes down the Thunder Chicken. The last turn across the cars, and look how close it is.
And one thing about this half-mile track, Gary, there's time for mistakes. If something happens, you can make up for it in a later end of the track down at the other end and really make up a lot of time.
Well, the Outlaw, the Jersey Outlaw with Mike Wine, will now advance to second round competition as he knocks out the Thunder Chicken. Remember, the fastest two losers from the first round of competition will advance. Any used car parts, we have them here at Louisville. We're coming back, so stay with us. Rich Hooser, Army Armstrong, and Gary Lee back in Louisville, Kentucky. Here is the Ford Motor Company lot. Have you driven a Ford recently? We have a lot of Fords to cheer for, but one is the fast qualifier, and here he comes right now with a bye run in the first round. Andy Brass, Bigfoot number 4. He was the fast qualifier. He will take on King Crunch here in the second round. Also, Micro Machine and Thunder Chicken. Micro Machine has won that matchup, so the Micro Machine advances to the semifinals. Also in second round competition, Equalizer against Carolina Crusher, and no problem will take on the Jersey Outlaw. Figure-8 competition here at the Louisville Motor Speedway, a most unique format for monster truck racing. And there is a look at Scott Stevens in the Auto Value King Crunch alongside Andy Brash, your fast qualifier in Bigfoot.
This is going to be an absolutely terrific race. Both trucks are running fabulous right now. King Crunch makes a good tight corner there, but watch it as he comes around here. He's taking a little wide. He's got to let off the gas a little bit while Andy pours it on. And watch these guys when they hit the cars. Look at Andy just fly over them. Almost cleared them all, Gary.
Well, Andy Brass had a rough landing, bounces a bit. They almost get together right here. And Scott Stevens has a problem. He heads for the outside wall, loses a lot of territory between those two trucks, and Andy Brass will take the victory in the Ford.
And Scott Stevens does a pretty good job of trying to catch up, but look at the rough bounce he takes, loses the fiberglass off the front end of his vehicle. And of course, Kevin Ford is down there. There he is right there. He's the crew chief for Scott Stevens Auto Value King Crunch. Now watch here on the replay. As you see here, they almost get together. Scott lets out of it a little bit to let Bigfoot get around the corner. But he tries to catch up to him, and he almost does. But look at him carry that left front tire around that corner. He's trying to catch up to him, but he just doesn't do it.
That looks like a midget on a quarter mile lifting that left front. And a hard shot right there on the landing, and that takes care of that fiberglass hood. Almost knocks the fiberglass door off as well. The fans are bathed in sunshine here in the Bluegrass State as we take a look at the autograph left on the concrete wall. This is from Gary Porter, and this is the way it happened back in round one.
Now watch right there. As you've seen the front tires hit that last car, there was like a hole in the car that caused it to shoot up like that, and it just stayed in the throttle. But not knowing how far he can go, he had to hit the brakes and bring it on down.
Well, here is Gary Porter once again in the Carolina Crusher, this time against Equalizer. He, by virtue of being one of the fastest losers from round one, has a chance to come back in round two, the Equalizer with Greg Holbrook.
Oh, and he's pumped up. Did you see the whole shot he pulled on Equalizer? He's going to get a good chance to stay ahead of him, but Equalizer's tightening the gap up here coming around that first corner.
Chevrolet against Chevrolet. Greg Holbrook in Equalizer. Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher. This time he keeps the nose down, but the nose of the Equalizer gets up. And, oh, I thought maybe he, well, he did. He lost the right front. The right front has been popped off the rim, and that will do it for the Equalizer.
Gary Porter's going to have the win here. I'm sure he knows it by now. Yeah, you can tell he's slowed down. He's going to take it easy over the cars. He knows he has the victory, so no sense in doing any damage to his truck.
Let's take a look again. Now watch with the force that Greg Holbrook comes down off these junk cars, and he pops the tire right off the rim, right there.
He actually bent that wheel a little bit, Gary. It's got a little bit of bend in it. If he can get it heated up a little bit and bang it back with a big hammer, he ought to be able to get the tire aired up.
Well, of course, his day is finished, however. This is round two competition, so no fast loser advancing on. Gary Porter will, however, be in the semifinals, the Final Four, and there's a big wave from the cockpit of the Carolina Crusher. Well, the fans roar their approval as our quarterfinal round continues with John Moore in No Problem. That is the Ford Bronco. He will face another Ford, the Jersey Outlaw, with Mike Wine.
Now, Mike Wine's been having some tough luck here today. His truck has not been running too good. Let's see what he's going to do against No Problem.
A slight hesitation there on the part of John Moore in No Problem. And with that inside short lane, Mike Wine now has the advantage as he heads for the first jump.
He's got a pretty good-sized lead right now, Gary. He gets over the cars nice and smooth. Look at that, not a lot of air, not as much as John. And, oh, he gets out of shape. Oh, John Moore is out of his lane. He will be disqualified on that run. So Outlaw does have the win, but they're both going on strong because you never know what can happen.
Well, Mike Wine, the Jersey Outlaw Ford pickup truck, will take the victory. A wild ride for John Moore and No Problem. The name not indicative of the kind of run that he had here.
Right, he had a little bit. We'll see right here when he takes that bad bounce and he gets a little crooked, and now does not have enough time to get back in his lane, and because of that, if he would have came back and won, he would have been disqualified.
Well, Mike Wine knew he had trouble. He backed off slightly, but here comes John Moore. He tries to make a race out of it, but the victory goes to the Jersey Outlaw. Mike Wine will be in the Final Four. And Mike will be joined by these trucks, Andy Brass in Bigfoot. Kurt Fisher has one with the Micro Machine. And also the Carolina Crusher with Gary Porter. And, of course, Mike Wine in the Jersey Outlaw. And at least one of the final four is the walking injured. This is the Micro Machine, Kurt Fisher, but there is a suspension problem.
Indeed there is, Gary. Now, I talked to him earlier, and he explained to me what was wrong because this truck is still fairly new.
Well, it's right here on the bottom. What happens is we've got two 9-inch shocks that are hooked together in sequence, and the bottom ones are bent. Last night we had a problem with the top ones on the rear, and they're coming down, they're bottoming out, and then the shaft is just bending, and after that, then the shock won't work itself back and forth.
So we may expect a very slow, very easy ride on the part of the Micro Machine as Kurt goes up against Andy Brass in Bigfoot. The winner here will advance to the championship here in Louisville, Kentucky.
They both have a pretty good start, Gary. Now, Andy just seems to be flying. He's got the lead here going around this first turn, so that is a good advantage. But then again, Micro Machine suspension is not working real good, so he's not going to hit the cars hard. Look, you see, he just kind of putts over him, and that's going to give Andy a big lead.
Well, Andy Brass was the fast qualifier. He continues to show his supremacy here as he will take a big victory over Kurt Fisher's wounded Micro Machine. So there is a final jump for Brass in Bigfoot number 4, and the Micro Machine very gingerly completing his run. Obviously some Ford fans here, and they'll have another Ford to cheer for in this next semifinal round as we have the Jersey Outlaw with Mike Wine and his Ford. He goes up against the Chevrolet of Gary Porter called the Carolina Crusher. Gary Porter, of course, had that problem in round 1 at the big wheel stand, but by virtue of being one of the fast losers in that round, he was able to come back in round 2, and in doing so, then knocked out Equalizer. So here he is against the Outlaw, and right now Mike Wine's having a great ride.
Mike Wine is doing an excellent job so far. Look at it, he doesn't take very bad bounce at all, and he's still got a good lead. Porter's he's got his work cut out for him if he wants to catch him here in the second half.
Well, Gary has the short way around now in the second half of this circuit. He is closing in, but it looks like Mike Wine just has too big of a lead, and Mike Wine will take the victory, and this championship race will be a pair of Fords. The Jersey Outlaw and Bigfoot. It's coming up. Back at the Louisville Motor Speedway here in Louisville, Kentucky, we are ready for a Ford shootout, a dogfight between the Jersey Outlaw with Mike Wine and Bigfoot with Andy Brass. Like to pick a winner here, Rich?
Oh, I wouldn't know who to pick. Of course, I'm going to have to root for Bigfoot, but it looks like he's having a little bit of problem there at the starting line. The engine was dying on him a little bit. He's got his work cut out if he wants to catch Mike Wine.
Well, he was very, very wide in that turn, almost up to the concrete wall. He is trying to close down that gap, but Wine had a big advantage over that first jump. But here comes Andy Brass. Andy Brass on the inside takes the lead.
He comes around that corner excellent. He got a good bounce, which actually helped to put his front end around, and he is able to come over, but Mike Wine's having big problems with his engine right now.
So Andy Brass takes the victory, and a big salute from all the Bigfoot fans here at the Louisville Motor Speedway, and stopping on top the jump cars is Mike Wine and the Jersey Outlaw.
You can see it right here. Look at the smoke coming out of his engine right there. It's popping and backfiring, and he can't seem to get fuel down in the engine, and it cost him the race right there. He could have had a chance of beating Bigfoot.
But Andy Brass and Bigfoot takes the victory, and the Jersey Outlaw comes to a rest on top the junk cars. There's been some talk now that there may have been a problem with the killer box. Let's go down trackside and Army Armstrong.
I'm holding my hand something right now. A lot of people ask us questions about it. It's called the killer box. You see it written right on the side. The killer box is designed as a safety piece of equipment to shut the truck off if anything goes wrong. This box definitely malfunctioned. It is the box that was in Mike Wine's Jersey Outlaw. This is what caused that truck to stall up in turns number 2 and 3. You're not supposed to take sides in anything like this. You look at it yourself and tell me that this box is not damaged. That is not the case.
Well, Army, the rules dictate that once the box goes in the truck, it's the responsibility of the driver. So a frustrating situation may have cost Mike the championship. Let's go back trackside to Rich Hooser.
Okay, we're here with Mike Wine, who had a little bit of problems in the final race with his kill box. Now, Army Armstrong headed down there, and it showed a crack in it. Now, Mike, did that cause your engine to spit and sputter as it did over that first jump?
I knew I'd have to run foot as hard as I could. I come around the first turn. When it comes to the first set of cars,
I was on it pretty hard. It landed, it bounced, and the motor started dying out on me. I couldn't figure out why. The box had leaned back on a 45-degree angle. I was reaching over trying to hold the box up. The motor started backfiring and spitting, and with foot, you can't give him an inch. That's it. He'll take it. Come back around the back corner, and you just can't turn, hold a box, and read the gauges. You can't do everything at once. Finally died out on top of the cars. I took the box back off. The motor turns over fine, so it wasn't the motor at all. It's no mechanical failure. I'm going to design or come up with a box where it will slide into it. So instead of it ever falling off again, it will stay in there stationary.
A disappointing day for Mike Wine, the Jersey Outlaw. But our congratulations to this man here, Andy Brass, the driver of Bigfoot, the victor here in Louisville. For Army Armstrong and Rich Hooser, I'm Gary Lee. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. And here's news about an exciting new release from Diamond P Sports. It's time to shake, battle, and roll. Call 1-800-453-2800 for 70 minutes of awesome air-grabbing rooster tail spring action from the worlds of monster truck racing, truck and tractor pulling, and mud bogging. Relive the great moments of thrilling side-by-side monster truck racing. Feel the ground shake from the raw power of truck and tractor pulling. And get down and dirty as the best mud racers battle the slime for the fastest time. All this incredible action on one video cassette just by calling 1-800-453-2800. That's 1-800-453-2800. Strap up for a ride on the wild side. It's time to shake, battle, and roll.